Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another day, another live, and as always, we are here to explore the crypto world together, slowly, intentionally, and with a clear mind. I hope you're settled. Take a moment, relax, relax your shoulders if you can. Let your breath drop into your stomach. And let's begin our deep dive into what's really happening in the markets lately. So, yeah, guys, your girl Masha is back, and we are here for, another deep dive. As always, here every single day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, and 8 p.m. West African time, guys. Let's get right into it. So, today's live is going to be different, new angles and new narratives, obviously. Every day, the market moves in a slightly different rhythm, and so do we, and because the crypto space never sleeps, every morning brings us a new story to unfold, guys. So today we're just going to talk about what's happening globally in finance, how traditional markets are shifting, how investors are behaving, how major blockchains are reacting, which tokens are moving unexpectedly, where Bitcoin is positioning itself next, and last but not least, what these subtle changes might mean for the next cycle. And then, later in the stream, we're obviously going to touch on our girl Pixie as well, because yes, after all, she is a part of our ecosystem, part of our identity, and part of the unfolding story, guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. As you know, we always start with the bigger picture, the macro picture, because obviously crypto does not move in isolation. Crypto breathes with the world. So, right now, globally, something interesting is happening that we have not touched on before. So, basically, governments are starting to quietly reevaluate their digital currency strategies. Countries that were hesitant last year are suddenly speeding up work on CBDCs. The European Central Bank is polishing the regulatory framework for digital euro testing. And then Japan is pushing pilot programs more seriously now. And then Brazil is deepening its DREX initiative. Then, last but not least, South Korea is accelerating tokenized asset regulation. So, I'm sure you might ask yourself, what does this mean for me? What does this matter to our market, the crypto market, basically? So, because when governments step forward into digital money, investors begin to compare, what do centralized digital currencies offer, what do decentralized ones offer, what does sovereignty lie, where does it lie basically, then where does freedom lie. And every time those questions surface, basically crypto receives attention even in the quieter market phases. At the same time, global inflation wasn't as cooperative this month. Food prices moved unpredictably. Energy costs jumped in certain regions, and supply chain bottlenecks bottlenecks reappeared due to shipping route issues. You know, guys, these are tiny stuff, and these small disruptions ripple into investor confidence. Crypto being a high beta asset class reacts more dramatically than traditional finance. So yeah, that's basically what's happening in the macro picture. Just let me know your thoughts, your opinions, if you have anything to say about that, if you have heard anything else, you're welcome to tell the community down below. Of course, we all want to stay updated and on top of everything, guys. So yeah, so what does all this global uncertainty translate to inside of crypto? Because there's just we just looked at the macro picture. So now how does this affect crypto internally? So basically right now we're seeing Bitcoin dominance rise slightly, which does indicate caution. um ETH trading sideways, neither claiming strength nor losing it, and then altcoins showing uneven patterns where strong fundamentals aren't enough and narratives are needed, guys. And then stable coin supply fluctuating, suggesting money is moving but without commitment. And then, guys, last but not least, derivatives funding rates tightening, which often foreshadows either a build up or a release of energy. Whew, I'm sure there was a lot to take in, so let's catch our breath, you know. Yeah, there's, the macro picture affects our the inside crypto market a lot. So yeah, that was a lot to take in. Let's just digest everything, But yeah, guys, and this is what I call a transitional zone. Basically, a period where people are waiting, you know, people in the market are waiting, listening, and trying to understand the next big direction. And basically, we aren't in fear, we aren't in euphoria, we are just flatlining, basically, like in the middle, you know, the place where smart money studies the board before making their next move, guys. So yeah, that's basically it. Let's move on to the next thing. Something new. Basically, let's just move on to the global tech shift impacting blockchains. So something new is happening in global tech as well, something we haven't spoken about, and that is AI infrastructure demand is exploding so fast that it's changing blockchain priorities, guys. Like, yeah, there's a lot that's just changing, evolving, transitioning, and priorities are shifting as things change and evolve. So we have to stay on top of everything. But let's just get right into it. What's been happening lately? So Nvidia is scaling chip production, and then governments are competing for AI data centers. Then tech giants are buying electricity contracts years in advance. Then electricity rich regions like Scandinavia and parts of Africa are seeing new interest. I'm sure you're asking, okay, why is this relevant? The things that I've just mentioned right now. So they are relevant, guys, because blockchains require computing, AI requires computing, zero knowledge proofs require computing. Decentralized storage requires computing. And now compute is becoming a global commodity. So chains like render, basically GPU rendering, and then Akash network, which is decentralized cloud, and then Filecoin is decentralized storage, Theater, decentralized video infrastructure. Then last but not least, Celestia, which is modular data availability. And these are positioned differently today than they were even 2 months ago, guys. So can you see the speed at which change happens? Like, it's very quick. And this is why, if you've noticed, we're seeing subtle volume increases on infrastructure tokens, not just speculative meme coins. So yeah, guys, that's just basically what's been happening. with the global tech shift. If you guys have any opinions on it, you could definitely just pop it right down below in the comments and just let us know, because as the community, we are all in this together, and we'd all like to, just share what's been happening, what's been going on, and so that we can all stay on top of things. So yeah, guys, anyways, let's move on to traditional markets and their effect on crypto. So traditional equity markets are entering a strange phase too, guys. The S&P 500 has been moving like a tired giant. Slow steps, slight hesitations, reflective pauses. Bond yields are stabilizing but not falling. Gold has been pushing upward again, signaling hedging behavior. And then, last but not least, oil is volatile due to geopolitical shifts. Each one of these assets affect crypto sentiment, guys. And when gold rises, it means investors are hedging uncertainties. When bonds stabilize, it means big players are cautious. Then, last but not least, when tech stocks wobble, people pull back from riskier assets, including altcoins, guys. Interesting. So yeah, crypto isn't reacting dramatically. It's reacting just subtly. So yeah, subtle reactions matter more than the violent ones, because they reveal real intention, not emotion. So yeah, guys, basically that's just what's what's been happening. So yeah, that's the global foundation for today, the macro context, the large patterns shaping the crypto rhythm. And then, in the next coming minutes, we'll go into the heart of it all. So basically, we're going to talk about Bitcoin's positioning, Ethereum's state, real movements on the charts, top gainers and losers of the day, and the hidden signals inside volume and liquidity. So yeah, guys, let's shift into that now, slowly and basically intentionally. Yeah, guys, let's basically get right into it. Let's gently shift into our deep chain analysis. We've looked at the global picture. Now let's zoom in a bit, tighten the focus and study the heartbeat of the crypto market, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the major chains carrying this ecosystem forward, guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's begin with Bitcoin. So right now, Bitcoin is moving inside a very deliberate structure. Not aggressive, not euphoric, but a phase best described as controlled hesitation. So a lot of traders are noticing the same thing, and that is basically Bitcoin's volatility is compressing, the candles are tightening, long wicks are showing indecision, volume is slowly bleeding out. Then last but not least, sellers aren't confident, but buyers aren't fully stepping in as well. So this is classic behavior of a market waiting for direction, guys. So yeah, Bitcoin is hovering around key psychological zones, and each zone acts like emotional gravity. Now, guys, let's move on to Ethereum, our girl Ethereum. So Ethereum is in that strange point where everyone expects something big, but no one wants to say it first. So Ethereum is showing reduced gas pressure, stable staking inflows, developers staying busy behind the scenes, L2's ecosystems expanding quietly, but price movement, girl, is very muted. Like, And this basically tells us one thing clearly. Ethereum is waiting for a narrative ignition. Not hype, not a hype moment, a utility moment, guys. And it could come from L2 growth, like Arbitrum, optimism, and base, Then secondly, a major real world tokenization announcement. Thirdly, a structural improvement to staking. And then last but not least, a new wave of DeFi upgrades, guys. So yeah, Ethereum isn't weak, it's coiling. So the chains built on Ethereum are moving more aggressively than Ethereum itself, which is always a sign that the base layer is storing energy. Now, let's take a look at what's actually moving today. Real tokens, real momentum, guys. So, um, you know, basically, these tokens aren't just up, but they're showing meaningful liquidity. So, there's Celestia showing a strong rebound in modular blockchain interest. And then analysts say that TIA gains momentum whenever developers highlight scalability concerns on basically monolithic chains. Then, secondly, Render, it's benefiting from the ongoing AI computing narrative, which is any news about GPU shortages tends to wake Render up, guys. And then, thirdly, Toncoin is basically continuing its adoption push tied to Telegram's ecosystem expansion. Then, last but not least, Stacks, and it's gaining traction as Bitcoin aligned smart contracts become a bigger discussion topic. So, yeah, guys, basically that's what's been happening with, the top gainers and all that. Now, let's just look at top losers in the same window, and it's just as important to know who's cooling off. So yeah, guys, Sui is pulling back after an extended rally. Then APT is dealing with lower demand in the short term, and then PEP is the standard meme volatility after its recent spike. And then last but not least, Jupiter is basically slowing down after Solana ecosystem excitement cooled down. So, yeah, guys, these movements tell a story. They tell a simple story that money is rotating, not disappearing, and it's exploring new narratives, basically. So yeah, guys, let's just break down. Let's break this down by ecosystem, because yeah, each chain right now has its own emotional climate. We're gonna talk about chain by chain, and just have a sentiment report on it. So yeah, let's just break it down. And yeah, first and foremost is our girl Solana. So Solana right now is experiencing a slight cool down, but the developer activity is still intense, guys. And then yeah, new apps, new meme projects, new DeFi experiments, but price action is taking a breath. So key tokens in motion is Solana, Jupiter, Bonk, and WIF, and Solana remains the chain where excitement sparks first, guys. Hope you guys are still keeping up with me, still in flow, still in rhythm. I don't want anybody being left behind, because we are moving, and we are moving at a very, very fast pace. So I hope the community is still keeping up with me. So yeah, let's move on. And then with Ethereum layer 2s, this is where the quiet growth is. So yeah, basically Arbitrum is steady, slightly undervalued. Then Optimism is holding support, awaiting catalysts. Then last but not least, Base, not yet a token, but the ecosystem is growing like fire, guys. So these chains are absorbing user activity that Ethereum can't hold directly. And then basically we've got our girl, our BNB chain. So BNB remains stable, not soaring, not falling, just consistent. Its strength is that it captures retail interest when other chains get too expensive or too quiet, guys. So, tokens showing activity is BNB, Cake, and Alice. And then with our girl Avalanche, AVAX is showing moderate recovery energy. Its subnet's narrative is starting to wake up again as gaming projects push forward. And then, yeah, that's just about it with Avalanche. And then there's Ton Chain. Ton is expanding faster than most people realize. Then, yeah, with the Telegram integration, it's turning Ton Chain into the first social driven blockchain, guys. So, yeah, with each chain, it tells a different story, but all of them are pointing toward a multi chain future, guys. So, yeah, I just want you to take that in, consume it, absorb it, and yeah, let's move on to some market psychology, invisible force. Let's zoom out and talk about, you know, the invisible engine of crypto. So yeah, right now the market is sitting in observational mode. So not fear, not greed. We're all just watching and observing. Then yeah, when psychological energy is low, two things happen. Big money gets quiet, and then secondly, small money gets very cautious. But this is also the environment where long-term positions are still silently built. So yeah, this is the environment where smart investors accumulate selectively. This is the environment where projects with strong identity quietly grow communities that will become powerful when sentiment flips, guys. And yeah, and that's with that. We are complete with our major chain breakdown. Coming up next, we'll dive deeper into altcoins, shifting trends, emerging tokens, and how smaller projects are navigating this strange market energy, guys. So we'll also take a moment later in the stream to talk about Pixie, who she is, what she represents, and what makes her such a unique presence in this ecosystem, guys. But for now, yeah, let's just get right into altcoins, blockchains, and movements. Now that we have a clear baseline of the global markets, let's quiet the mind for a moment and walk into the world of the altcoins, the chains, the ecosystems, the places where innovation either sparks the lightning or fades quietly into the background, guys. So yeah, this next part is about understanding which ecosystems are actually building, which ones are simply reacting, and which ones are positioning themselves for the next wave of market confidence, guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. Why altcoins matter in a slow market, guys. So basically, altcoins behave differently during these cautious market phases. Bitcoin sets the weather, Ethereum sets the season, but the altcoins, they're like the regional climates within the bigger climate. So sometimes they flourish even when Bitcoin is flat, sometimes they collapse even when Bitcoin is steady. And that duality, that contrast, is exactly what makes this part of the market very fascinating, guys. So yeah, altcoins tell us where money wants to go. They tell us where developers are leaning, where retail curiosity might spark, and where new narratives are trying to form, guys. So yeah, First things first, Solana right now feels like a restless engine. Even when its price dips, the ecosystem refuses to slow down. So we're seeing consistent developer activity, new meme tokens launching daily, and real utility projects gaining traction, guys. Solana is becoming this strange hybrid. So part meme casino, part high performance tech layer, and then part cultural hub. And that mixture creates something very powerful. And I want y'all to guess what that is. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you guys. Basically, it creates attention. Attention is currency in crypto, guys, and Solana has that. Then let's move on to Ethereum. So with Ethereum today, it feels mature, stable, almost like the parent that's watching the market with unfolded arms. Gas fees are lower. Um, yeah, layer 2 networks like Arbitrum, Base, Optimism are carrying most of the transactional load, and the ecosystem feels like a city that's expanding upward and outward at the same time. And then Ethereum's strength right now is infrastructure. So it's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's very foundational. It has a solid foundation. And in uncertain markets, foundations matter more than height, guys. So yeah, let's move on to our girl, the BNB chain. So BNB chain continues to play the quiet giant role. It doesn't make noise, but it always shows activity, it always shows new users, and it always shows liquidity. So this is the chain where people go when they want affordability, efficiency, and predictable transaction speeds. So BNB chain will always be an entry point for new retail waves, and that's what makes it a chain worth watching, guys. So yeah, and then next but not least, let's move on to our girl Avalanche. So with Avalanche right now is in an interesting position right now. Its subnet strategy is slowly becoming a long-term differentiator, like mini ecosystems branching out from a central tree trunk, guys. So it's not exploding yet, but it's building a shape, a personality, an identity, and that matters for longevity, guys. So yeah, and then let's move on to Ton. So Ton right now is one of the most fascinating chains right now because of its link to Telegram. So Telegram is a global communication platform, and Ton is slowly becoming the financial bloodstream underneath it. So we're seeing growth in Ton-based mini apps, Ton tokens, Ton staking, Ton everything, guys. So yeah, this chain isn't hype. It's adoption disguised as infrastructure. And then, let's move on to basically Base chain. So Base is positioning itself as the chain where culture meets scalability, and culture is actually what makes early ecosystems explode. So just think back to Solana in 2021, Ethereum NFTs in 2020, BNB chain memes in 2021. Culture fuels speed, speed fuels narrative, narrative fuels market movement, guys. So yeah, Base is slowly forming its own identity, and that makes it worth the watch, guys. So yeah, that was a lot. Hope you guys are still keeping up, still consuming everything. And yeah, now let's move on to something more concrete. So basically, the top gainers over the last 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, here are a few that stood out to me. So there is basically the Bitcoin ordinals. So it is seeing renewed attention as inscription activity rises. Then the Psi network, which is gaining momentum with new liquidity incentives. Then Jupiter, Dex on Solana, is riding the Solana volume wave right now. And then the Pyth network is growing usage of real-time data feeds. Then last but not least, artificial intelligence is basically still benefiting from the global AI narrative, and that is FET. So guys, yeah, these aren't random spikes. These are ecosystem specific movements that show where traders are allocating curiosity, guys. So yeah, if we zoom out, the altcoin space is in that reflective moment before the next major narrative wave. So there is no mania, no chaos, no euphoric bubble, not yet, but there is something else, and that is quiet preparation, guys. So developers are building, ecosystems strengthening, communities reorganizing, whales accumulating slowly without the noise. And that quiet, that stillness, is usually the soil where basically the next explosive trend grows. So yeah, and in a moment we're gonna talk about our girl Pixie, because she fits into this broader picture in a surprisingly meaningful way. Not mean. Our girl Pixie is not mean. Pardon me. In a meaningful way. So her story, her origins, her personality as a meme coin, and the universe being built around her. And basically all of that ties into what we're seeing across the ecosystems right now. So before we get into Pixie, let's take a slow breath and let the altcoin discussions settle in. Yeah, all right. Now that we've taken a journey through Bitcoin's behavior, the altcoin shifts, the macro climate, and the sector rotations, let's slow down, shift the energy, and let's talk about our corner, of the crypto world. Let's talk about, what it is, I'll go Pixie. So yeah, guys, now I always say this, basically, Pixie is a project that fits naturally into everything we speak about, because she's not just a coin, she is a character, she's a story, she is identity, and she is an emerging universe. And today, for all our new community members tuning in, welcome, 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 welcome. And for all our day ones who want to understand her even more deeply, I want to say, I want to take a moment to explain exactly who Pixie is, where she comes from, and why she even exists, guys. So yes, let's get right into it. So Pixie was imagined during a period where crypto felt very heavy. There were charts collapsing, regulations tightening, fear building, and in the middle of that chaos, a simple question reappeared. What if there was a character, a symbol, a little spark of light in a space that had become too serious, too stressful, too intimidating? And that quiet question basically became Pixie, a tiny fairy like being, but not the childish version. No, but Pixie is playful and aware. She is mischievous and wise. She is cute and rebellious at the same time. She represents the idea that even when the markets fall, even when the charts bleed, even when everything feels uncertain, there is still space for creativity, for joy, for expression, for community, for fun. you know. So yeah, she's the reminder that crypto began as a movement, not an institution, a space for outsiders, dreamers, builders, believers, and people who think outside the box, basically. So yeah, right now the market is in a fragile and transitional phase. So yeah, basically, why does Pixie exist in the current market? Yeah, guys, right now the market is very fragile, as I've said before, and we're going through transitions, guys. We are. So, liquidity is uneven, retail is cautious, narratives are shifting week by week, and even when the market becomes unstable, people gravitate towards projects with identity, not just price action, not just charts, not just volume spikes, identity. Something they can feel, something they can hold on to emotionally, something they can relate to. And Pixie brings that. She brings a story, a personality, a message, a community, which is you guys, and a universe that keeps expanding. So, these things matter more than people realize, because in quiet markets, the strongest communities survive, guys. In fearful markets, the most creative projects stand out. And, I want to put emphasis on that. I want to put emphasis on community, for all our OG day ones that have been on our lives every single day, how I put emphasis on community each and every single live, each and every single day. Community is extremely important. So, guys, let's just stand together, be here for one another, and, just continue engaging in the communities, continue interacting and just being active. So yeah, guys, basically Pixie isn't just a fairy, she's a world we're slowly building layer by layer. Her realm, a digital forest universe where every holder is a part of her environment, her companions, her lore, her energy system, and her future chapters. So Pixie isn't just passive, she is ever evolving. The more the community grows, the more her world expands. Yeah, guys, that's basically um that's basically our girl Pixie, if I must say. So you might be asking, why does Pixie matter right now? And it's because she stands at the intersection of storytelling, community energy, meme culture, identity, creativity, and the emotional sides of the markets. She's not trying to be the next Solana. She's not trying to compete with layer ones. She's not pretending to be DeFi protocol. Pixie is something else entirely. She is basically a home for people who love crypto but also love imagination. And in a market like this, the more that's more valuable than what most people realize, guys. So yeah, guys, I think we have come to the end of our live. Okay, I'm not too sure. Just wait, let me look at my planner. Oh, okay. Um, okay, let's get into, before we end the live, let's just get into predictions, feature parts, and just a reflection. So, all right, guys, basically, with everything that we've discussed today, the global markets, Bitcoin, and major crypto movements, altcoins, chains, and of course, our girl Pixie. And yeah, let's just think about the future. So, let's sit back, let your mind wander, and let's explore the possibilities together. So yeah, with the crypto market predictions, the crypto market, as we've seen, is in a period of dynamic flux. But volatility is high, but that doesn't mean there is no direction. Let's consider Bitcoin first. Analysts are weighing multiple scenarios. So, on the one side, macro pressures could keep Bitcoin in a consolidation range, between 87,000 and $93,000 as institutions and long-term holders navigate uncertainty. Then on the other side, renewed adoption signals from ETFs, corporate treasuries, or new regulatory clarity could create a bullish wave that lifts Bitcoin above 100,000. So yeah, and of course, Ethereum is in a similar state. Layer 2 adoption continues to grow. Gas fees are manageable, and NFTs and DeFi remain robust. Yet, market sentiment still fluctuates with broader economic indicators. And then with altcoins are where the story becomes more colorful, guys. Smaller projects are experimenting, meme coins are rebirthing culture, and tokens with identity, story, and engaged communities are quietly positioning themselves for future relevance, guys. So yeah, now let's scan the blockchain landscape. Which chains are gaining, which are slowing down, and what trends are emerging. So yeah, this is just a summary of what we've spoken about, earlier on. Um, yeah, guys, let's get right into it. So Solana is showing renewed institutional interest, and then with Ethereum continues to dominate DeFi and NFT activity, but layer 2 adoption is key. So networks like Arbitrum and Optimism are seeing rapid transaction growth. And then basically BNB Chain and Polygon show promise in hybrid DeFi slash meme projects, combining low fees with strong community projects. Yeah, guys, and then meanwhile, some smaller altcoins are surging unexpectedly. Meme coins tied to culture, art, or entertainment. So basically, some are volatile, some are quietly building, and that's where Pixie finds a sweet spot. Token with story, lore, and a vision that resonates across community and culture. So yeah, guys, Pixie isn't just surviving these trends; she is quietly building her place in the ecosystem. She bridges the historical origin of crypto with modern innovation. She has love, she has identity, and community that grows organically. And now, I'm sure if you guys are on our X community, with the NFT launch approaching, her presence in the digital and cultural world is about to deepen, guys. So, yeah, imagine a future where Pixie interacts with new platforms, where the Fairyverse expands, where holders not only invest financially, but culturally, creatively, and emotionally, guys. So yeah, for those of you holding Pixie and for those of you who are simply observing, strategy is about patience, awareness, and vision, guys. Maintain a portion of tokens for long-term cultural and historical investment, pardon me. Observe market trends across chains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and emerging meme communities. Do engage with the community, contribute ideas, and participate in our Fairyverse. And then, watch NFT launches and integration opportunities. These are more than collectibles, they are functional part of our ecosystem, guys. So yeah, Pixie's potential isn't measured solely by price, but by the growth of identity, story, and community impact. And that is something that is so super rare in crypto. So guys, oh, my phone just fell, but okay. As we close today's live, as always, let's take a moment to reflect. Crypto is complex, it's unpredictable, it's volatile, but with that chaos, there are symbols, stories, and communities that endure. So Pixie represents one of those symbols, from a tiny Easter egg on Bitcoin's original website to a reborn token with story, lore, and community. She is a reminder that even in uncertainty, magic can exist. So think about what this means for you as a participant in the crypto space. Observe, learn, build, hold, contribute. And then when the wave settles and when the markets shift, be part of something lasting. Be part of our Pixie community. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for believing in story, community, and in the little fairy that could be. So, yeah, keep Pixie close in your mind and in your heart. And remember, this is only just the beginning. So, yeah, guys, it's your girl, Mashle. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next live. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there. And I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And yeah, guys,